I'm going to do in this video is show you all how to find the value of a cone and how to determine how to make a template for a cone. So let's say you want to make something like this, but you're going to need a template for that. The template is going to look something like this. With all these corresponding values, out here, this angle, we're going to call R. That will be the same on these two. The top diameter we will call T. The bottom diameter we will call B. This number here we can call H. That'll be the height of our cone. What we're first going to need to know is the value of R. But before we get there, some other letters and numbers to know. We'll call this length L, this length M, and then if we were to connect this to make a full cone shape, we will call this value P, and this whole value Q. Okay, so first to find R, over here, we know that this is a right triangle, so we can find R through the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But in this case, we need to solve for R, so if it's R squared is equal to H squared, and we'll need the value of A here, which is just that small value there. So it's H squared plus A squared. We don't know what A is, because if we were to just draw this, we would have an idea of the height, we'd have an idea of the bottom diameter, and we'd have an idea of the top diameter. But A is really easy to find. A is simply 1/2 of B minus 1/2 of T. Okay? Because this small value here, if we were to cut this in half, if we were to take half of T away, and then subtract that from B, we would get A. So we can plug that in, and we need to do, so that's R squared is equal to H squared plus 1/2 B minus 1/2 T all squared. We need to do the square root of each side. Then we'll have R is equal to the square root of H squared plus 1/2 B minus 1/2 T squared. Okay? That's all relatively simple. So, the other value that we're really going to need to know is Q. Q is going to be able to give us really the length that we can use to make our templates. So, another thing that's going to help us here is this angle, which is theta. We just need to understand how we can get theta. Theta is a relationship between the arc and the length here. So here we'll put that theta is equal to M to Q, which is equal to L to P. Other formulas that we might need are circumference. So to get this M length, we'll find from B. So the circumference is, which we'll call C, is equal to 2 pi r, where r is the radius, or that's equal to 2d, where d is the diameter. So in our cases, m would equal not 2d, I'm sorry, pi d, or d pi. So in that case, m is equal to pi b, and t, or L that is equal to pi t. Okay. So, and then other things we're going to need to know, Q is equal to simply R plus P will give us Q. All right. So, from there, it may not seem like it, but we will be able to determine how to find Q. We first need to figure out how to find P. And we know that because up here, theta, L over P is equal to M over Q. Right? So we're going to solve for P. To do that, we're first going to flip our equation. So we get P on top. So P over L is equal to Q over M. Q, we know, is R plus P. So we can substitute that in. So that's equal to R plus P over M. Okay? Then to get rid of this L, we are going to multiply both sides, in this case, by L. That'll cancel out here and over here. We'll get RL plus PL over M. Or we can write it P is equal to RL over M plus PL over M. We want to get all of our p's to one side, so we subtract by PL over M. So, and up here we have P minus PL over M is equal to RL over M. Okay, so then we can pull out a P from this side. Pull out a P, then this turns to 1 there. And then this P also turns to 1. And then from here, we're going to divide everything by 1 minus L over M. So if we subtract 1 minus L over M, or that is if we divide that, pull that out. So we're dividing that side by, and we're dividing this side by, which is also multiplying by 1 over 1 minus L over M here. So then on our left side, we're just left with P. Multiply across, so RL times 1, RL, over M times 1, M minus M times L over M. Those M's will cancel, and we're just left with L. All right, then we're going to kind of plug in what we already know. So I'm going to write this a little differently here. So P is equal to, I'm going to do L first. So L is pi t. R over there, which is the square root of h squared plus parentheses 1/2 b minus 1/2 t squared over m over here, pi b minus L, we already did, pi t. We can get rid of all of these pi's, and we are left with P is equal to t times the square root of h squared plus 1/2 b minus 1/2 t all squared over b minus t. Okay? And the great thing about this now is we are left with all values that we would know by just if you were to sketch this out, because you would know the width of the top that you want, you'd know the width of the bottom that you want, and you'd know what height you wanted. So that's how we get this value. That's an important equation that we're going to need to know. And then I'm going to show you what to do with that next. Okay, now that we've deriven our P formula, let's put all of that work into actual practice. So let's say we actually want to make a cone and figure out how to make the template. Let's say that cone is 4, we'll say inches high, 4 inches wide at the bottom, and 1 inch wide at the top. So again, we know we're going to call our top diameter T, height H, bottom diameter B. Remember, we are trying to make a template that's going to look something like this, with L being the value of the bottom arc, M being the value of the top arc, and what P actually is this value here, and R is this value. And if we have forgotten, R is equal to the square root of h squared plus 1/2 b minus 1/2 t squared, which happens to be right in there. So in solving for P, we'll also find what R is. So what we'll first do is plug in all of our numbers. So to find P, we'll get our T is 1. Great, easy. Oops. Run out of space there. We'll make that work. So P is 1. H squared, we said, is 4. So 4 squared plus 1/2 B. B we said was 4, 2. Minus 1/2 T. T's going to be 1. All of that squared over B, 4 minus 1. Okay, so I've just filled that all in. Try to ignore that little bit there. So we have T is 1, H is 4, so H squared, 4 squared, plus 1/2 B, 1/2 times 4, minus 1/2 T, 1/2 times 1, T is 1, squared, over 4 B minus 1 T. Okay, so then we'll just solve for that. So P is equal to, we can get rid of this 1 here, we don't need that. So the square root of 4 squared, 16, plus 1/2 B, So 1/2 of 4, 2, minus 1/2 of 1.5, all of that squared, over 4 minus 1, 3. Alright, so continuing on, p is equal to square root of 16 plus 2 minus 0.5, 1.5 squared over 3. That is equal to 16 plus 1.5 squared, 2.25 over 3. 16 plus 2.25 is going to be 18 plus 25. So p is equal to the square root of 18.25 over 3. Square root of 18.25, that's where our handy calculator comes in. Which is 4.27. And remember, that's going to be our R value there. Here. To 4.27 is equal to R, so we can put that over here. R is equal to 4.27 for us. 4.27 divided by 3 is equal to 1.42. So that's our P. Then we need to know Q, which is R plus P, or in this case 4.27 plus 1.42. Q is going to be equal to 5.69. All right. And then while we're at it, let's find what L is. So T is 1, right? So pi T, we know that pi is 3.14. So 3.14. B, so if we do pi times 4, we get 12.56. All right. So these M and L values aren't super important, but they'll help us kind of figure out what our template's going to be. But what we'll just need are these values here. So we only need, I only use these two to actually make our template. And that'll be it. And I'll show you how to use your template, or how to make your template using those numbers next. All right, as I promised, I'm going to show you now how to make your template using these numbers that we have found. So first thing, I'm going to mark on my ruler right where it's starting, and I'm going to draw a line straight out to 5.69. I am not that cautious of this being exact because I want it to be close, but I don't care if it's exact. So just inside 5 3/4 or 5 5/8-ish, somewhere in there is going to be where my mark is. So I'm going to make that mark, and then I'm going to draw this straight line out to there. And then P is 1.42. So I'm going to make a mark there, just inside 1.5. Then I'm going to keep my ruler in the same spot at the bottom, move it up a bit, go mark in the same spot, 1.42, a little less than 5 3/4. And I'm going to keep repeating this. So, kind of went way over here, but if you can kind of see, if I were to connect these dots, if I actually connect them well, that will give me the idea of my template I'm working on, right? But actually connect your dots well, so you can use that template. So the next thing we need to know is how big to actually make it. We said that L was equal to 3.14, so if I get a little string and measure that, 3.14, and I hold that, so if I start way down at this end and curve it around my bottom template, that'll give me a general idea of where that stops, so that'll be there. And I draw a line from my center point out, including that line, to there. So this area here would be my template that when I go to put it together, so when I match up these two sides, will give me a cone that is 4 inches high, bottom width of 4 inches, and top width of 1. Good luck. I'll give you all of the formulas you need to know. You don't need to derive your own, but you will have to plug it in and make one of these. Good luck.